It is 1:15. Let's not wait much longer. We will start the meeting and we'll bring Phyllis up to date when she gets there. So, happy Columbus Day, everybody. It's worth noting. The first speaker will be Mr. Mike Bembros.
Okay, thank you, Susie. Good morning, everyone. Is it afternoon already? Yes, afternoon. Thank you. Thank you. I was just asked to give a brief update on the Meadow Mills project. You should have received, hopefully you did, some communication last week letting you all know that we had received approval from the town of Hamden for the bond resolution, so we will be going forward with the financing. So now we are in the process of getting ready to market those bonds. We have printed what's called a preliminary official statement, which is essentially a document that lets potential bond investors know what the project is all about. And that's happening as we speak. We have a webinar scheduled with those institutional bond investors, big money market funds and those kinds of organizations that typically eat these kinds of bonds up pretty quickly. We have that scheduled for Thursday of this week. And then our hope is that we can price and market the bonds on October 19th. I have inquired about the opportunity for retail investment. We had that back in 2009 when we did the bonds for the South Building. However, given the relatively small amount for investors, not for us, it doesn't look like there'll be any retail or individual investment opportunities for any of us. So we expect to get all this done in the next couple of weeks, and our target is to close financing and close the purchase on Meadow Mills on no later than November 3rd. So that means at 12:01 a.m. November 4th, we will be the owners of Meadow Mills, and we'll be going over there to evaluate for the next couple of months what's going on. So, look at their operations, see where we could bring value, and then over the next few months, we'll be integrating our systems and so on. This morning, Peggy, Michelle Stocking, Karen Russell, and Karen Lushinks joined me at our first meeting with the Meadow Mills staff. So we met with the first shift. There were probably roughly 20 people or so. We met with most of the management team. We'll circle back with them later in the week. We will be going back at 3 o'clock today and then again at 11 o'clock tonight to meet with the shift, people on all three shifts. That will cover essentially everyone, I think. Maybe some weekend staff. I'm not sure how, but we'll make sure we get to them as well. And basically, we're just reassuring them that as far as all of the frontline, direct service, direct care team members go, we are looking forward to welcoming them all as new Whitney Center employees as of the closing date. So that, I think, allayed some of their anxiety, not knowing what would happen to their jobs. They asked a few good questions, things like how's payroll going to work, the transition there, whether their longevity would be honored. Some of them have been there 10 years longer, 19 years. I think Phyllis has been there. And so we assure them that, yes, any benefit or program tied to the longevity would certainly be honored. And so we think it was pretty positive. And so we're looking forward. You could tell there was a sense of, I don't know if it was relief or definitely optimism that Whitney Center is the one coming in. They know of us, obviously being across the street. There have been crossover employees over the years. Right now, things feel pretty good. Okay. All right, I think that's about it. Should I take questions now, or if there are any? Yes, I don't think we have, oh, okay. Yeah, we do have mics.
I know this is early in
Just tip-
your,
Yep, just tip
in
it
your
over.
operations, but so many of us have noticed the speeding on that street, on Leader Hill. It is frightening even to come out of our driveway sometime. So as you, I'm sure this is not going to be worked on now, but as you do continue, I hope you'll consider something about a pathway or something to slow down the traffic.
Yeah.
Because that's frightening to me.
Yes, I agree. And we are taking it up as soon as possible. We had the assistant traffic engineer from the town of Handham out a few weeks ago. Now, it was before we could actually talk about this, but we're going to have him back, and hopefully the traffic engineer, and anyone else from the town that wants to join us and to walk that area. Going across this morning, I recognized that it's not going to be safe to try to put a walkway or any kind of, connection point right at the front of the driveway, opposite the driveway of Meadow Mills, because it's right on the curve. It'll probably be further down, sort of opposite our driveway that goes to the maintenance building, because that's on the straightaway to some extent, and we're gonna look at whatever means we can work with the town on installing there, including a push button that can blink lights on either end, and actual walkway. If we can throw speed bumps in there, we will. Something tells me that the town will may ask us to pay for it, which frankly, you know what, it would be worth it. Yeah, but we have to see what the price is. But we're going to work on something, because I recognize, as I said before, that is as much a quality of life issue for our residents here as it is for the residents and families over across the street. Okay. Yes.
Is there a reason that?
Oh, hold that up just a little
Oh,
bit.
I'm sorry.
Yep. There you
Oh.
go.
Right close to your mouth.
Is there a reason that there's not going to be retail space in the other building? It seems to me that that would be advantageous for everybody.
Retail space.
Stores.
Oh, when I said the word retail, I was talking about individual bond investors, private bond investors. I'm sorry to confuse you. Yeah, retail space is not something that's common, and I'm not sure that that's something we'll do.
Mike, is their pay scale like ours for
Yeah,
the staff?
Yeah, the pay scale is actually very similar. We actually pay a little better, especially in the frontline positions.
Frontline? What do you mean?
Direct care staff, direct service staff, housekeepers, CNAs, that sort of thing. Oh, Joe.
Do we have a time frame for moving the people in our memory unit over there?
We do not have a time frame yet. It's going to take some time. It's going to be up to every individual and every family member to see how long that takes. And it'll be our responsibility to extol the benefits of moving over there so that they're intrigued and drawn over there rather than feeling forced to move over there. They'll see the benefits once they take a look. It looks like Phyllis has a question.
Will every person now on the sixth floor have to go over?
Eventually, every person, eventually we will no longer admit, well, let me say that again. We are no longer admitting new residents to the sixth floor, okay? Any resident that's living independently right now, because we know we're going to be transitioned. Doesn't make sense to move twice in a short period of time. all the residents on the sixth floor now, 12, I believe, will be offered the opportunity to move over as soon as possible. Eventually, we want all of them to move. But again, once they see the benefits of moving, I don't feel that they will feel forced to move. But our goal is to get residents moved over there according to their, ability to adapt, to adjust to the idea. And then we have to convert the sixth floor apartments, once vacated, back to independent living apartments and do some work on the common areas and so on.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very much. There has been a very positive response to the acquisition, and we are looking forward to November 3rd.
Yes. Thank you.
Congratulations. Okay, we're going to ask Erwin, our treasurer, to make a brief statement.
So the treasurer here has a budget of $36,000 that he gets every year in January, and that's to pay for the expenses of the various committees and interest groups. And as each committee or interest group buys, it does some things, they sent me an invoice receipt, and I reimburse whoever has to be reimbursed. And we are well within our budget, and no one has overspent what they're supposed to spend.
We can always rely on Erwin to be brief and accurate. Thank you. I'm going to ask Bitsy to please speak about the Employee Appreciation Fund.
Because I'm a bitsy and very small, I stand up when I talk, so you can all see and hear me. But we are really hoping this year to have 100% participation in our Employee Appreciation Fund. Every single one of us are the recipients of dedicated work on the part of our employees, whether it's people fixing things in our apartment or cleaning our apartment or waiting on us in the bistro or in the dining room or in the bar. Every one of us, almost every day, has the help from these people. So it would be, and usually in other places perhaps, they expect people to tip them, and they hope that they're going to be able to get some extra money at Christmas time and look for tips. But not here in Whitney Center. We really don't want anyone, and no one is allowed to tip people, because it really ends up being quite unfair. So what we really feel excited about is that the Whitney Center Employee Appreciation Fund actually provides substantial checks to everybody that works for us. Every single member of the staff gets a substantial check based upon the number of hours that they work when it gets to be December. So we start raising that money in the spring, and we're still hoping that there are a number of people who haven't yet given to that fund, and we hope that people will be as generous as they can possibly be. But really, if you really only are able to give a small amount, that is just as welcome as a large amount. So we're hoping this year we can say 100% of our residents contribute to this fund. So we're having some letters, they're going out. Erwin and I worked on it just before we came, and Roz is on our committee. We're going to work on those letters again this afternoon. But we hope when you get a letter that you will write a check to the Whitney Center Employee Appreciation Fund. And if we could get close to 100%, it would be a real celebration. So we hope you will think about all of the people that wait on you in a bar or anywhere else where we're getting help or getting our apartments cleaned, and provide some funds to be able to make a really wonderful holiday gift to every one of our employees. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Bitsy. Does anyone have a question for Bitsy? Okay.
Bitsy, I think the work that the committee has done is fabulous. However, it really, really upsets me that almost 1/3 of the residents have not given. That's a large percentage, and I'm embarrassed to say it. So I do hope that everyone will recognize the wonderful service we get all year round and contribute. Thank you.
Thank you, Phyllis. That was great. So think about what she said. And please, when you get a letter, which you will, maybe tomorrow or the next day, please be generous, and thank you so much.
I think we had another hand.
I'm aware that there are people that are working here that are not employees. They work for outside agencies. So, like I have a lady that does housekeeping in my apartment, and she isn't an employee here. What type of arrangements do you have about that?
She's talking about people that are not employed by Whitney Center, that are employed by some other agency that works here apparently as sometimes as aides, or she says as cleaners. Those are not people that are involved in this Whitney Center Employee Appreciation Fund.
No, that's correct. It's only those who are employed here at Whitney Center. I don't know how many non-Whitney Center employees fit into that category. Do you have any, do you know, Ken?
So there's, I know in housekeeping we've had a couple. I think there's some people for our personal options program, people hire outside agencies for our personal options program as well. I don't have the number for that off the top of my head. But traditionally, to run a business over the course of time, we do bring in outside contractors, outside service people to provide service. But you also should know that a lot of times we do ask these people to join the Whitney Center family, and that would be an opportunity for them to participate. And they also get paid at a different pay scale as well.
So if I contribute to you, then I will also be giving her a Christmas present besides.
No, if you have an
Remember-
independent person,
If the person working for you works for Whitney Center, then he or she is not part of the Whitney Center Employee Appreciation Fund. That is only for employees of Whitney Center.
Okay, then I just don't give that amount to you that I would give to her. I will give it to her privately.
That's, if you want
yeah,
to,
but
yes.
I would like to add something. When this Employee Appreciation Fund was not designed just for the aides of people helping in the apartment. This was designed to help everyone at Whitney Center. So whether it's the dining room, the laundry, the gym downstairs, whatever, you're contributing to those people as well. So that no man is an island. No one is living in this place supported by just one person. Everyone is being supported by at least a dozen different people from different departments. And that's who we're trying to reward with this Employee Appreciation Fund. And the fund has been going on, as far as I know, for at least a decade. So when I came here 5 years ago, it was already working, and I know that the person who took care of it for the previous 4 years, so that's up to 9. And so I'm sure that it was going on before then. And so this apparently is a very unique kind of situation, as far as I'm aware, of a residential community getting together to support the people who are making their lives comfortable. So So it isn't just supporting our personal aid, we're supporting everybody.
Any other question or comment before we move on to the next topic? Betsy, you're okay with that?
Just want to say many thanks to those who've already contributed, and you'll be getting probably later this afternoon or tomorrow, if you have not contributed, a letter in the mail, in your mailbox, and we hope that you'll be as generous as possible. Thank you so much.
We are already in October, and this is a time of the year when we really need to take care of ourselves. And I am so grateful, as I'm sure many of you are, to have Peggy on our side to help us out. Peggy?
I'm always happy to appear in front of you to talk about the latest and the greatest in the healthcare world here at Whitney Center. So as of this morning, I was going to report to everyone that we've gone over a month with no positive COVID residents. Unfortunately, 2 people turned positive today, but we went a whole month with no one. So we did a great job. Thank you. Again, I always thank the residents because you're doing everything that you're supposed to keep us as free as have us keep as free as possible from COVID. We all know it's out there. New Haven County is still high risk. The state gives us every county in Connecticut, and the way they grade it is either high risk, significant, medium, or low. We're still in the high, which is the red zone. So again, just be careful with the holidays coming up. We know last year we had an outbreak right after the Thanksgiving, Christmas holiday. So, we're prepared. It's not as deadly, or people don't go to the hospital as often as they once did. We've had no residents need to go to the hospital for COVID. So having said that, tomorrow is our first COVID clinic for the residents in the North Building. If you've not received your vaccine and you would like to get one, which I hope you all do, please come to the living room pub area, and our nursing staff will be there to administer the bivalent new booster. So that new booster covers the Omicron virus, which is the BA4 and 5 that you've been hearing about, which is the most prevalent of them all. 85% of people that are getting COVID are getting infected with those 2 variants. This bivalent booster covers those 2 viruses. So you'll have great coverage. You're eligible for the vaccine as long as you haven't had a booster within the past 2 months. So now after 2 months, you can get another one. So we'll be there. Thank you to the liaisons. They're going to be supporting our team tomorrow as we get through the clinics. It's going to be from 10 to 3 tomorrow. We're going to repeat it again next Tuesday for those residents in the South Building from 10 to 2. Just be patient. It moves pretty quickly. I think most of you have been through our clinics. We have it pretty well mastered of how to get people through. This, because it's a COVID clinic, you do have to wait 15 minutes after you have your injection just to make sure you don't have a reaction. So you can have some good conversation with your neighbors that are down in the living room while you're waiting. And then once we finish the COVID vaccine, we will be administering the flu vaccine to everyone that would like it. If you have received your COVID or your flu shots, either from a local vendor, retail pharmacy, please just let us know. We don't want to give you another one, but we do keep track of who has had what. Because once the clinics are over, anyone that hasn't shown up to our clinics, you'll be getting a phone call from a nurse just checking in on you to see if you missed the appointment, or if you want us to take care of you after. So just let us know if you've had those vaccines. Any questions about, can I ask now, Susie, or do you want me to wait till the end?
What is the date of the flu vaccine?
So the flu one is going to start the week of October 17th. How we're going to do the flu is a little different because we don't have to observe you for 15 minutes. When COVID started, we actually went apartment to apartment, for those of you that have been with us a few years. The clinical team really thought that was the most efficient way. So they're going to go from each person's apartment, even though it sounds like more work, it's kind of easier on the team. So we're going to start that week, that Monday, and we're just going to finish through the week. Don't change your plans. If the date that you're scheduled, if you're not home, don't worry. Still go to your appointments, still go out and do what you had planned to do. We will catch up to you at the end. So I know I've been getting a lot of emails from people saying they have appointments on the 18th and they're only going to be home from 10 to 12. Just if you're not home, you're not home, and we will circle back to you. We won't miss anyone.
Does it make any difference whether you had the Pfizer or the Moderna previously?
It does not. You can now mix and match them. The only one you can't mix and match is Johnson & Johnson, which we've never given here. And most seniors are advised to take either Moderna or Pfizer.
Thank you.
We will have Pfizer. We started with Pfizer. We're going to end with Pfizer. It just has worked really well for us. But if you really want Moderna and stay with what you might have had in the past, you would have to go to CVS, Walgreens, whoever offers that. And the other key thing is please wear a short sleeve shirt. Because we're trying to get through a lot of people as quickly as we can to make it efficient. Having you strip off your sweatshirts and your sweaters just takes a little more time. So if you can just come down tomorrow and next Tuesday with a short sleeve shirt, it really does help us move quicker.
Can I ask a question that
Sure.
is not, I know what you were about. My question is there a time, and I know you don't do the shingles, but
Right.
is there a time when I should avoid my final shingle shot?
No, actually, all these vaccines, you can get them all at the same. We actually contemplating giving the flu and the COVID vaccine the same day because you can do that. Shingles is a little bit different. You probably
Right.
should wait at least 2 weeks after you get the vaccines. But I would defer to your physician. Ask your doctor if they have any recommendations for you because they know you best. But you can get the flu and the COVID together. We opt not to do that only because if you're not feeling well, we'd rather know what vaccine you had that you might have had a reaction to. So that's why we're spacing them a couple weeks apart.
Thank you.
Okay, then if I could just talk about recently, actually September 23rd, CDC, CMS did change some COVID protocols for us in senior living. So I just would like to tell you quickly what those are, because some of them, your visitors might have actually spoken to you about some of them. So when you come into our community now, as you know, we have a kiosk where you sign in. We've had that now for the 2.5 years. It used to go through a series of COVID-like questions. Do you have a cough? Do you have a fever? It would take your temperature. If all those answers were no and your temperature was good, you were then allowed into the community. Well, now the new regulation is you don't have to screen specifically for COVID any longer. But what we did, because we have to show that we're still trying to mitigate the spread of infection, now when you come up to our kiosk, so this will apply to your visitors as well, your family, friends. When they come up to the kiosk, you'll still be asked to sign in. And then there's only one question. And it just basically says, are you having any symptoms of any type of respiratory illness, such as COVID or flu? If the answer is no, which is what we want, you can then proceed right ahead. If for some reason you answer yes, hopefully you'll know to postpone your visit. But if in case you don't realize that, the next screen will be kind of a big alert saying, please postpone your visit and notify the person you were here to see that you should not visit at this time. So we still have something in place to try to stop anyone that's coming in with any type of symptoms. The other change is they are now not wanting us to test anybody unless you're symptomatic. So we have to have a specialty license to test all of you and our staff. It's called a CLIA license, more than you need to know, but the health center always had it because we always do testing in the health center of various things, not just COVID. But we had to apply for one for our community, which we did receive. But now, in order to use the CLIA license, you can only test people that are symptomatic. So we're no longer going to ask you to tell us when you travel, if you've been exposed. We just ask you that if you're not feeling well, to immediately notify the community health nursing department, and they will test you, because then we're allowed to do so. So again, a lot has relaxed. I think people realize that we have to live with this and we can't be as strict forever. So again, just let the community health nursing know if you have any concerns about the monitoring if you were exposed.
Yes,
then-
I'd like to ask a question.
Sure.
Did the two people who received the COVID, did they have all of the boosters and shots that you've been?
Yeah, I'll be honest, most of the people that, especially amongst residents, you were all wonderful getting vaccinated. The vaccine never guaranteed you not to get COVID, and I think that's sometimes people, it's kind of the thought of most residents and just people in general. The vaccine is supposed to help you not get so ill that you end up in the hospital and potentially pass away from it. So because you got the booster, the original series and all the subsequent boosters, it doesn't mean that you'll never get COVID. I mean, so many people have gotten COVID that are fully boosted and up to date. So it's just the magnitude of the disease. People now are not getting as ill. I mean, do you still have symptoms? Sure, but they're more nuisance. You get tired, you get weak, you just don't feel well for a good week. Any other?
Yes, go ahead, Ben.
I have a loud voice, so I have a friend who's a Thrive at Home,
Mm-hmm.
and she said she does not have to stop at the kiosk. Is that true?
So the question is, a Thrive at Home member mentioned that she does not have to stop at the kiosk. Everyone that enters our building has to stop at the kiosk, whether you're a family, friend. Our residents don't need to because you live here. The Thrive at Home members have to come into our community from the outside. So providers, agency personnel, everyone has to screen.
Is there any way that you can communicate that to these people?
Well, Michelle Pandolfi just happens to be sitting in the back of our room. I'm sure she'll let them know. Anything else for me? Marilee?
If someone is visiting and they've taken a plane to get here, what?
So if someone travels, and they're on a plane and they're coming to see you, it's going to be up to you to say, have you tested? I would do that because, again, you want to mitigate you getting COVID. Just because they're on a plane doesn't mean they'll get COVID, but, again, they increase their risk because they're in a small, tight space for a prolonged period. I would just, ask your visitors that are coming in, have you been tested for COVID? If not, all of the local pharmacies are doing that. With very little notice, you could do it the same day.
Anyone else?
I have a question, and that is, if there's people who get sorry. I wondered if people that have scooters, if they're being trained on the use of scooters. I found that recently that some of the people are traveling very fast.
Okay.
I walk slowly, and I find it a danger.
Okay, thank you for bringing that up. Yes, anyone that gets a new scooter, we do have a program in place where our physical therapy, our rehab department, would like to work with you just to make sure you are safe. So thank you for bringing that up. So if you get a new scooter, you may not know that. When the nurses see people with new scooters, we try to reach out to them to let them know. But if you get a new scooter, our rehab team, it's free of charge. They'll just work with you to make sure that you're managing that scooter safely.
Peggy?
Yeah.
On that topic, first of all, can we make that a requirement?
Yeah.
And second of all, can you call it driver's ed? every 6 months, given the way we function?
We'll certainly take it under consideration, Lynn. Yeah, I understand. I don't want anybody to be a safety concern to anyone else. But sometimes we're just not aware that someone gets a scooter. That's the issue. You know, they purchase it on their own, so it doesn't necessarily go through the clinical team.
Is there control on the speed?
Yes. Yes.
Well, it's not enough, obviously.
Well, most people, unfortunately, just like we were probably when we drove in our younger years, you know, you just turn up the gas pedal. It's the same thing. We try to have everybody under, you know, like it's a grade that you can make it go as slow or as fast. The slow, which is where we have everybody at, like it's at 5. It's a very slow pace. And some people I know get annoyed with going so slowly, but it is needed in order to really make that travel for that person safe for others. It's really not about them, but I know we do have some residents that go pretty quickly around the campus.
Thank you, Peggy, very much. Some of you may not know that about a year ago, Whitney Center created a governmental affairs committee headed by Ken. This committee has done a great job of creating liaisons between Whitney Center and Hamden. And in particular, Erwin and Phyllis are the co-chairs, and Erwin will bring us up to date.
So, by way of background, during the past year, the Whitney Center Board established a government liaison committee for the purpose of developing a relationship as well as educating the local and state representatives about our collective contributions to the state and local community in terms of how much we spend, our taxes, our voting, as well as being kept informed of any impending legislation that may impact Whitney Center and its community favorably or unfavorably. So we have been doing this for the past year, and we have met with our local representatives, our state representatives, and the mayor. It's been really quite successful. The committee consists of Ken Sandberg as the Whitney Center administrative leader of our committee, and Phyllis Smith and I are co-chairs of this committee. And we are assisted by an advisory committee from the resident community, and they include Esther Crystal, Greg Seaman, John Tully, and Susie Weisinger. And this committee meets regularly after each monthly council meeting and at other times when necessary. So we have been developing a liaison with the folks outside who potentially have great control over us from the legislative and taxing standpoint. So I want to tell you about 3 recent activities that the committee has done. The committee solicited campaign material from all the people running for Hamden and Connecticut state elected offices to share with Whitney Center residents so that we can be better informed for the November 8th election. Unfortunately, we have received no promotional material from any candidate, but you can find that out by going online. However, what we are planning to do is we're going to post a replica of the November 8th ballot with the candidates and the 2 referenda that are on there, and we will put them on the bulletin board, I think one outside the mailroom and, outside the mailroom, and one on the bulletin board next to the bistro. The second thing we've done, and Esther Crystal is responsible for this, she set up a table, an election table, near the bistro this past week from October 3rd to October 7th, and it was manned by herself and resident volunteers to do voter registration and also to have people sign up applications for absentee ballots for the November election. And Judy Hopper has to be commended because she was there all the time, every day from 11 to 2. And when residents were unsure whether they were on a permanent absentee ballot list that they may have signed up for in the past, she would check with the town clerk every day, and she could tell the resident whether they had to apply again or whether they were on a permanent list. So on November 8th, and November 8th, a Whitney Center bus will shuttle us to the Hamden polling station on Putnam Avenue from 9 in the morning until 1:30, and you don't have to sign up in advance for this. The third item was the Hamden town engineer, Stephen White, was on a Zoom public meeting on September 22nd, and he detailed plans about patching up and improving walking paths and bike lanes through the infrastructure work on Benham, Augur, Treadwell, and Davis Streets. So for us, it's really Treadwell that's important. And there's a plan to have a pedestrian bridge over Lake Whitney at the corner of Leader Hill and Treadwell, and a sidewalk from the Canal Trail toward Dixwell Avenue. Mike and Flo McBride and Carol Gelstad offered comments on this, and Esther Crystal was also there on the call. So those are the three action items that we took care of recently, and just to keep you informed that we don't have a government liaison committee that seems to have effectively established contact with the local officials. Thanks.
Thank you, Erwin. I am going to ask yes, sir.
May I just make a quick comment?
Of course.
Regarding that, so I just wanted to express my gratitude to Erwin, Phyllis, Ken, and the whole committee, because the work that we've done over the past year in building relationships, especially with our legislative council members and the mayor, I think led to a very smooth process with regard to our bond resolution requests. It was unanimous at the Economic and Development Committee, and then the second vote was unanimous at the full Legislative Council, with great support by the mayor and her administrative team. So thank you very much. It's already yielding great benefit for us. Thank you.
Thank you. And now to another subject. We are going to move on to a recent experience from the dining services, and Esther will tell us about that.
I'm very happy to talk about the wonderful dinner, which was called Prime on Main, prepared by Chef Mike Horniak on September 25th. So at the beginning, a day before, I received, because I attended the dinner, a confirmation card made out in my name, and that I was going to have the filet mignon, which was fine. But on the bottom, it says dress code, classic elegance. I can't tell you, I've never seen people dressed up like this for an event at Whitney Center. People thought we were going off campus or something. But it was so special. When we walked into the dining room, it was really transformed from the private dining room into an elegant restaurant. The lights were low. There were flowers on the table, matching tablecloths, and china that I'd not seen before. Several wine glasses to my right, flowers on the table, and then everyone received a menu of what we're going to have. So it was good because we want to remember this. So what was on this? We started with a salad, with pickled vegetables with blueberry vinaigrette. That was wonderful. Then we had an appetizer of 5 kinds of beets cooked different ways, and that was gathered in a little mold. That was wonderful. And of course, I had the filet mignon, and it was this thick. And they started to hand out steak knives. Nobody needed the steak knives. It was amazing. And this was, of course, with Béarnaise sauce. Others had the poached lobster, which they also felt was wonderful. And the vegetable was wild mushrooms and asparagus. And then there was a place here that's called Intermezzo. I wasn't sure I knew what that was, but it turned out this was something that would clean my palate. So it was wonderful. It was ginger champagne in miniature little glasses with teaspoons that you can barely see to pick up this cleansing of my palate. And then for dessert was a panna cotta, which on the base was chocolate soil. It wasn't soil. I mean, it was really chocolate. And then that had a lime mousse over that and an orange gel, and then some kind of whipped cream with some flavor on it and with mint leaves on top. All throughout the dinner, you could have wine served at any time. So afterward, a very fine thing happened. We were so appreciative, and suddenly Steve Gurney got up, and he started to say some words of appreciation. And it was so special. So Mike Horniak came out, and the servers, we often don't thank them as much. Yadalina Grant, Lisa Moresco, and Charday Moore, they were there along with Thomas Hudson. And it was very nice to see that we had so many wonderful remarks to make, because people just like stood up all over the room. We're saying these wonderful things. It made me so proud to be a resident of Whitney Center and to have partaked in something so wonderful. The cost was $60, and we could use points for the meal. I'm telling you, if we had this meal at, let's say, Union League, we would have had to pay 3 times as much, at least, for the service and for the food that we had. And then I would like to bring up 2 other points apart from the meal, because these meals are going to happen again. I know all of you would like to participate in them. I know that many of you have positive things to say about your experience, your dining experiences. And some of you have some negative things to think about your experiences. And sometimes you share them with your friends and other residents at Whitney Center. I can tell you it is most helpful and appropriate to speak to them in a setting that is made for this, and that's the dining committee. The dining committee is meeting tomorrow at 10 o'clock upstairs at the 6th floor conference room. But this is where this gives you an opportunity to advocate for the things that are important for you. So this is a helpful reminder to say things that you need to say in a most appropriate place. An hour ago, Thomas Hudson sent me this memorandum, and that is beginning Tuesday, October 18th. The Bistro Grill will be open for dinner Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. I know this is going to be in your mailbox, but if you don't see it there, you heard it here. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. And the wonderful thing is that a reservation clerk has been hired, and beginning November the 1st, when you call on the telephone to make a reservation, you most of the time will hear a live voice, and that will end a lot of the confusion in making reservations at Center Stage. Thank you. What do you mean? That is not so, because they're going to have the grill in the bistro. That's correct. The pub will continue to have the buffets, just the buffets. This is an addition, and having the grill coming back to a little more normal functioning, yes.
Any comments for Esther? Thank you, Esther. I do have one question, please. After listening to that wonderful menu for that primetime dinner, I'd like to know what we're having tonight for dinner.
Well, just so happens I...
Well, after we have plentiful and good food, we're going to need a meditation area. And can you bring us up to date on the meditation room?
Yes, thank you, everybody. So the meditation room, so that is, Mark Brown's the one that's coordinating the renovations for the meditation room. The plan is to have it completed and open before the end of the year. Now, as you all know, Mark does put a memo out weekly to give an update in the meditation room. The progress of the meditation room actually is in that memo. So we can follow along with that memo to see, but I did hear that it will be done before the end of the year.
Thank you. We'll wait, and at some point we will go and check it out. Okay, Phyllis?
Is that for employees and residents?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. We will follow this up at our next meeting. Thank you, Ken.
Do you want me to go on to the thermostat setting while I'm still here?
Yes,
Yeah.
since you're there.
So the question was, there was information put out about our thermostat setting, because when you go into heating, the cooling season into the heating season, there's sometimes some confusion on the thermostat. So Dan, I'm going to call Dan up, because Dan is being proactive in getting information out. So Dan was going to give everybody a quick show and tell.
Hi, everybody. You would have, if you saw channel 102, you would have seen this. This is our information that we're going to put out for thermostats. This time of year, you're going to be really cold at night, and you're going to be kind of warm during the day, for the next month or so. We wanted to try to educate people on the usage of the thermostat. Everybody is going to have a thermostat that looks similar to this in their apartment. It might not be this exact one, but they all function the same, and they all have 4 buttons and 4 buttons only. Just to stay with the education piece on 102, this left button here, it needs to read auto, then you never need to touch it ever again. So you only really need to worry about 3 buttons now. And the right button here is going to switch you from cooling to heating to off, only those 3 options. And then these are your temperature buttons here to go up or to go down. It's that simple. And I hope that, this 102 is a reference guide that people can continue to check out, whenever you're confused about how to use the thermostat. Obviously, we're always here for you, but this hopefully settles some people. At 9 o'clock at night, you want to know how to change your thermostat if it was 70 degrees during the day and it's now 45 degrees at night. We do plan on continuing this education through 102 and K4 on different items throughout your apartment. I've gotten some feedback. I know I've brought this up in House and Grounds Committee meetings before to educate on different things, the do's and don'ts of your garbage disposal, do's and don'ts of your toilet, different things like that, that we can have some fun with, make it a little TV series on 102. I'm happy to be on the camera, and I'll get some of the other team members involved, and we'll all, interact with each other in that fashion. Does anybody have any questions?
We're going to be nice and warm. Thank you very much. We are going to end this meeting on a safety note, and that is something that Phyllis has been involved with for the past few years, and it is a safety fair. Phyllis?
I hope that most of you will remember last year's safety fair. That was so wonderfully successful. And we're hoping to do better this year, if possible, because it was so good. It's going to be October 27th, and I believe it's been arranged with Michael already that we will hold it after a brief town committee meeting, so that once you're there, we've got you. And we will all learn a lot. So please mark your calendar for the rest of that morning and the beginning of the afternoon for the safety fair. And Ken has staff working very hard on this, but it will be a wonderful, wonderful event. Thank you.
Yeah, I know. Before we end this meeting, are there any questions that we haven't addressed that you would like answers to? What? Well, I guess meeting is adjourned. Thank you all for your participation.
Make sure November 8th, if you have not filled out an absentee ballot, that you vote. Thank you.